So I've been looking over the leaks and rumors for the M1X Mac Mini and trying to put all of the puzzle pieces together, and I think that I've finally nailed it thanks to both some brand new and old leaks that make total sense, leading me to believe that Apple will be revealing the new redesigned M1X Mac Mini at their October event here in just a couple of months. But before I explain my reasoning and show you the evidence for why this makes so much sense, I want to analyze some of the leaks concerning the design, the chip, the ports, and the pricing. Back in May, Jon Prosser revealed renders of the upcoming redesigned Mac Mini created by Ian Zelbo using a combination of photos, schematics, and other details, and you can see right here that it's a much slimmer version of the current Mac Mini, as you can see in this side-by-side photo scaled to match the size of the ports. Now this really makes sense because the much shorter or thinner design matches what Apple did with the 24-inch iMac, taking advantage of their efficient and cool Apple Silicon chips. But the interesting part about these renders is that Leaks Apple Pro actually revealed the legitimate Apple schematics that Jon was using, basically confirming the design. And what's great about this is that the schematics show off the new magnetic power connector that Apple is using for the 24-inch iMac, which makes perfect sense for Apple to reuse in the Mac Mini. But what makes this really crazy is that back on May 10th, Jon Prosser showed off the bottom of the MacBook Air with a new design for the grippy bottom stands. And this perfectly matches the bottom of the 24-inch iMac, which was only released weeks after Jon's video. And these are actually the same bottom pads that we see on Jon's M1X Mac Mini renders, as well as Leaks Apple Pro schematics. So I'm fairly certain that they're totally legit and spot on. Now the next detail I want to get into is the apparent plexiglass top on the M1X Mac Mini that Jon showed off in his video. Well, first of all, the leaked schematics basically confirmed this detail as well. But going even further, if we go back to 2005 and look at the original Mac Mini, it actually featured a flat plastic top with an Apple logo, which many people have forgotten about. So Apple could truly be going back to their roots with the M1X Mac Mini like they did with the iMac redesign, as well as the rumored MacBook Air with white bezels and color options, and of course the M1X MacBook Pro with the return of a bunch of ports and the removal of the touch bar. So in reality, the new plexiglass top on the Mac Mini truly makes sense based on what they did in the past, so all of those details are basically leading me to believe that the leaks and renders from Jon Prosser are completely legit and that this Mac Mini should be coming soon. Now moving on to the chip that's going to be going into the new Mac Mini, I 100% guarantee that it will be coming with the M1X chip as the sole option, with 10 cores for the CPU, either 16 or 32 cores for the GPU, and potentially up to 64 gigabytes of RAM, based on leaks from Mark Gurman, who says that's exactly what's going to be going into the Mac Mini. Now on top of all of that, the reliable analyst Dylan DKT on Twitter also believes that it's getting the same exact M1X chip that's going into the MacBook Pros. And just going off of the fact that the lower end Mac Mini got the same exact M1 chip as the lower end MacBook Pro, it makes perfect sense for the same thing to happen with the higher end Mac Mini getting the same M1X chip that the MacBook Pros are going to be getting. And this basically has to happen based on Apple's 2-year Apple Silicon transition, since the current Mac Mini still has a higher end Intel based model, just like the high end 13-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pros still have an Intel model that Apple is selling. Now before I get into the pricing, which is the most interesting part, let me now explain why I'm so confident in an October reveal date for the new Mac Mini. First off, Mark Gurman recently said that he expects the redesigned Mac Mini to launch shortly after the M1X MacBook Pros. But the thing is that the word launch does not mean reveal. And the important thing to realize is that the Mac Mini hasn't truly been redesigned since 2010. So the new Mac Mini obviously deserves to be revealed at an Apple event. On top of that, Dylan DKT also agrees that the Mac Mini will be revealed alongside the new MacBook Pros, and so does Leaks Apple Pro, who recently mentioned that they'll be coming at the same time. So if you combine all of those pieces of info, I believe there's a good chance that both the Mac Mini and the new MacBook Pros will be revealed at the same October event, but they'll end up shipping at different times. So maybe the Mac Mini will truly launch a month after the event or something like that. Now, going even deeper, if you really think about it, last year's November event was focused on Apple Silicon and the new M1 chip first and foremost, before Apple showed off which products would be getting that chip. So I expect the October event to do basically the same thing, with Apple showing off the M1X chip and making a huge deal about how powerful it is before showing off the very first redesigned products that will be getting that chip. Now, moving on, the last big question I still haven't answered is why I'm so confident that the event will happen in October instead of November. So let's get right into that. First off, the reason we had the M1 Mac event in November last year was because the iPhone 12 ended up getting delayed by 1 month. So Apple had to make the October event that was usually always focused on Macs and iPads to be focused on the iPhone instead. So because of that, the actual Mac event was delayed to November. But this year, based on all the leaks and rumors that we have, we're not expecting any delays at all for the iPhone. So the event is likely gonna happen on September 14th. And that means that the October event should be going back to being focused on the Mac this year. And on top of that, I was digging into some old leaks and I found this very interesting one from Leaks Apple Pro way back in January when he leaked the timeline for the future Mac lineup. First of all, he was right about the iMac being the first redesigned Apple Silicon Mac with different chip options, which ended up being the binned base model, along with the thinner bezels and the thinner body. He just got the March date wrong because Apple delayed the event into April. Second of all, he claimed that the MacBook Air would make its way to a 12-inch flat design, which has actually been rumored very recently, and the flat design aspect matches up to Jon Prosser's renders of the MacBook Air. Third, he was actually the first one that claimed that the larger iMac would release in early 2022 with a form factor that matches the 24-inch iMac, but being a bit thicker and with more performance, which I totally agree with, and right now it's been confirmed by Dylan DKT that the iMac won't be released until 2022, matching up to Leaks Apple Pro's leak. And on top of that, he also claimed that the Apple Silicon Mac Pro will be smaller and release in late 2022, which I also agree with, as well as Mark Gurman, who recently reported the same thing. And way back in January, he also mentioned that the Mac Mini at some point will be getting an update to allow 10 gigabit Ethernet, which Apple eventually did on April 20th, so he was correct with that leak as well, leading me to believe that his source was fully legitimate. So this last piece of info concerning the MacBook Pro is likely to be spot on as well. While many others, including myself, believed that the M1X MacBook Pros would be coming at Apple's WWDC event, back in January, he claimed that they would actually be coming in October, which now finally makes perfect sense. He also claimed that the MacBook Pro would be getting a flat design language, which matches up to Jon Prosser's renders of the MacBook Air redesigned and leaked schematics of the MacBook Pro from way back in April. He also mentioned a 14-inch display with multiple chipset options, meaning that the base model of the MacBook Pro will likely have a binned 12-core GPU, which I also agree with. But the main detail that he mentioned is October for the reveal date. And on top of all of those interesting leaks, we recently got a report that the M1X MacBook Pros have just entered mass production, with Apple expecting to reach as many as 800,000 shipments before the end of November. And for that to happen, they would likely have to get revealed in October and ship in late October or early November. So in my personal opinion, the event will likely happen on either October 19th or the 26th, since they usually host events on Tuesdays. And there is a slight chance that Apple will do an additional event in November, but that just doesn't seem likely this year. And now let's finish off with the pricing, and the best way to do that is to look at the high-end Intel Mac Mini that you can still buy right now on Apple's website, which starts at $1099 and comes with 512 gigabytes of storage, which is what we're expecting for the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros. So that's exactly what we're expecting to come on the M1X Mac Mini as well. Mark Gurman also expects 16 gigs of RAM to be the minimum amount of RAM for the M1X chip in general, which makes sense since that's the current minimum on the higher end MacBook Pros. So the M1X Mac Mini should come with 16 gigs at the base price. So if you take the current Intel Mac Mini and configure it with those specs, you're sitting at $1299 for the starting price, which is the exact price that I'm expecting for the M1X Mac Mini to start at, with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of SSD. Now there is a chance that Apple will give it a $100 discount like they did with the regular M1 Mac Mini compared to the old base lower end Intel model, but I believe that that was a small incentive Apple added because the M1 model lost 2 Thunderbolt ports and it didn't support as many displays compared to the old Intel-based Mac Mini. So because of that, I'm sticking to a $1299 base price prediction for the new M1X Mac Mini. So with all of that said, here is my full specs and features list, which is definitely subject to change as more leaks and rumors continue to come out, but I'm pretty confident in a lot of these details. Now, if you disagree with any of my predictions, go ahead and let me know down in the comment section below, but if you enjoyed this video, definitely go ahead and click the circle above to subscribe for more videos like this one, and definitely check out one of those 2 videos right over there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.